Okay, can you please introduce yourself and your recent project?
Yeah, sure. So I am Akshat Jain and I am a software developer with around 2.7 years of experience. And mainly I have a working experience on Java, Spring Boot, microservices architecture. And I have been involved in designing, developing, and maintaining a scalable backend system. So I have a strong hands-on experience on building RESTful APIs. I also have experience with the SQL databases and developing end-to-end application. So in past few years, I have mostly worked on two major projects. So first one was digital transformation project in the retail domain. So in that, I helped in transforming the legacy system to the microservices based architecture. So my responsibilities were to develop a new feature, writing unit and integration test, and also communicating with the front end and QA teams. And currently, I am working in the VFSI banking, financial and insurance domain on an application related to the part compliance and regulatory reporting. So in this, my role is like implementing new business logic in the services and then debugging, resolving the production issues and optimizing the performance using the profiling tools and efficient writing of the database queries. Apart from that, I also use Maven, Git, Jira, Postman, Swagger. So yeah, so this is what is the about myself and about my recent projects.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so can you tell me what are your day-to-day tasks?
Yeah, so my day-to-day task is basically it starts from the checking of emails and Teams messages. So we have some groups where related to projects we will be like many people will be keep on posting regarding the recent updates or any kind of bugs or any issues or any assignments has to be done to anyone. So that is what we do first, and we also check mails. And after that, I attend the stand-up call at 10:30 a.m. to discuss the completed task, current task, and whatever the blockers are there. So that so all those things are discussed, and then after that whatever the task has been assigned to the developers, so we work on the development of those tasks. So mostly it will be RESTful APIs uh, development or enhancement of the existing APIs or bug fixes. So those things will be there. And also apart from that, suppose if any code is there on the UAT or QA, so we also support on the issues whatever has been generated over there. So we collaborate with the testing team and we try to fix them as well. So this is what is our day-to-day task.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you guys are following agile methodology, right?
Yeah, we are following agile methodology, so we will have uh, uh, 2 or sometimes 3 weeks of a sprint cycle. So so in which we will have be having the daily stand-ups and weekly demos. So all those things will be there. Yeah.
Okay. So do you have exposure on the front end as well?
No, no. Mostly, I have worked on the back end only, and sometimes we might fix the minor issues, but yeah, we don't work on that mostly. So yeah,
So I see you also have the experience on AWS, right?
yeah, I have some exposure on that as well.
Okay, can you tell me what is the difference between AWS S3 and RDS?
Uh, Relational Amazon RDS is like that is the relational database services, and S3 is like simple storage service. So that is like they are two different services provided by the AWS. So this Amazon RDS is like we can say that is managed relational databases services. So it basically supports popular relational database engines like MySQL, PostgreSQL, and then Oracle, SQL Server. So all these are supported by it, and it is mainly used to store structured data. So that follows a schema like tables with rows and columns, etc. So RDS mostly handles many administrative tasks such as automatic backups, like patching, monitoring, and scaling. So that makes it easier to manage a production grade database without worrying about the infrastructure thing. So that's the advantage of RDS, and S3 is like it is object storage service. Okay, so in this one, it is designed to store and retrieve any amount of unstructured data. Maybe if it is files, documents, images, videos, okay, any kind of backups. So those things can be used, and it does not support SQL querying like RDS we have. So instead, each file is stored within a unique key inside the bucket, and S3 provides high durability and scalability. So if we have the objective is to store the files and all, in that case we go for the S3, and if we are dealing with the databases, then we go for the RDS. So yeah, so that's the difference between these two.
Okay, okay. So do you know AMI, the image?
Yeah, that is Amazon Machine Image. So AMI is pre-configured template we can say. So whenever we have to launch EC2 instances, so that is the image which we have, and it includes the OS, application server, and application that is needed to launch the instance. So that is the AMI.
So have you ever created it?
Uh, I have not created it, but yeah, I have been involved and I have seen it once, like how it is created. So we can give, there are multiple properties are there, like whatever the memory we want to allocate to, and there are various other properties also. So those things we can allocate and we can create the image.
Okay, okay. Fine. Okay, so which version of Java you are working on?
Yeah, we are working on Java 11. But the feature wise, we are using the features of Java 8.
Okay. So what is terminal and intermediate operations?
Yeah, in Java 8, we have intermediate operations like map, filter, sorted, and all. So they are called intermediate operations, and terminal operations are like collect, for each, reduce. So those are like terminal operations. So whenever we write the stream code, and we transform or filter the stream, but we don't trigger any actual processing or output. Okay, so these operations are like kind of lazy, because until and unless we are not applying the terminal operations on top of this intermediate operations, so they are not evaluated. Okay, so they just build up a pipeline of operations that will be triggered later by the terminal operations. So that is what is the intermediate operations. Then coming to terminal operations, so that trigger the processing of the stream pipeline. So once a terminal operation is called, the entire pipeline gets executed. and the stream cannot reused afterwards. So that's what is the terminal operation. So yeah, so basically whenever we are using terminal operations, that is kind of building the pipeline lazily, and so that is intermediate. And then whenever we are using terminal operation, so actual execution of the pipeline and that triggers the actual work, so that happens at the terminal operation. So yeah.
Okay, so what is optional class?
Yeah, optional class in Java is a object that is used to avoid the null pointer exception, and we can write the cleaner and more expressive code when dealing with the values that could be missing. So like instead of returning directly null, so a method can return an optional object, and from there we can further we can like fetch the data out of that, and we can check whatever the data we have received, and it will not throw the null pointer exception.
Okay, so what are the methods you are aware of in optional?
Yeah, it has many methods like optional dot off is there, and then we have each present, if present, then we have dot get is there, or else is there, or else throw, or else get. So yeah, so these are the various methods we have.
Okay. Okay, do you know the difference between map and flat map?
Yeah, basically both map and flat map are intermediate operations in Java Stream API, and both are used for the transforming of elements. So map is like it is used for to transform each element of the stream individually. Okay, so the mapping type will be like kind of one to one. So one input produces one output. So for example, if suppose we have a array dot as list, and we have, let's say, some names like in that. So uh, we can just keep map, and it will like each is and like we can just keep map, and then we can just say dot to uppercase inside that. So in that case, each string will transform to the another string, so it will just make it to uppercase. So that is one to one kind of mapping. And flat map is like it basically it flattens the nested structure. Okay, so suppose we have the nested structure like let's say we have arrays.as list, and inside that again we have suppose two arrays.as list are there. So we don't want that nested thing to be there like that, and we don't want them to uh, we want them to be again come out of the nested structure, and uh, all of the data should come as a single flat stream. Okay, so in that case we use flat map. So like we can say its mapping type will be one to many, because one input produces the stream of outputs, and a single flat stream from nested elements can be obtained. Okay, so that's the difference between these two.
Okay, okay. Okay, do you know the peak method?
Peak, yeah, so peak method is used mainly for debugging. So it transforms an action like logging and all without changing the element. Okay, so for example, suppose we have a stream of a and b is there, and we are just we say like dot peak, and we can print it. Okay, and then we can further maybe we can use map, and then we can collect it. So like peak, inside peak whatever we have, it will just print it. So that is just for the debugging purpose. So yeah.
Okay. So in Java 8, can we reuse the stream?
No, we cannot use the stream, and it's not reusable. So once a terminal operation is called, the stream like is supposed to be like kind of consumed, and if we try to reuse it, it will throw the like some exception it will throw.
So if we want to reuse a stream like a structure, so what we can do? Do you know any solution we have?
Yeah, we can use suppliers actually for that. So suppliers like they are basically make the streamline structure to reuse.
Okay, one more question. So can you stream on collections with null values?
Collections with null values. So it I think it will throw null pointer exception. So if we have a null collection, then and if we are trying to collection dot stream, so that will throw null pointer exception. So if the collection itself is not null but it contains none elements, then stream will include them and can be processed. But if you will need to handle them explicitly in our logic.
Okay, okay. Okay, do you know limit method in Java 8 streams?
Yeah, limit basically returns the first whatever the in the limit we value we are giving. So it will return the first that many number of elements of the stream. So that's the limit. And also limit in our SQL like that gives the I mean that many number of rows result we can say. So yeah, that's the limit.
Okay, what is the difference between error and exception?
Yeah, error and exception. So they both are basically the part of the throwable class, and exception is like kind of recoverable situation, and error is like uh, recoverable issues. Like whenever we have out of memory stack overflow, so those comes under error. And again in exception, we have runtime exception or compile time exception. So that we can handle using the try catch. So
Okay, okay, fine. Okay, suppose you are getting out of memory error, okay, while you run your code. So how you will debug it and how you will fix it? What are the steps to be follow for that?
yeah, for out of memory, we will first of all analyze the logs. So we will look for the memory overflow traces, and then we will do the code review. We will check for the in the connection if there any kind of issue is there, DB connection, like whatever we have opened that should be closed also properly, and any kind of memory leaks like objects never garbage collected or something like that, those things we can check. And then um, uh, we can use the tools, memory dumps, we can use the tools to visual VM or JProfiler, and there we can see what actual the issues are. And then once we analyze the issue and we find whatever the issue is there, then based on that again we can proceed. Maybe the any resource closure might be required, so we can use the finally block, and we can use try with resources, and we can increase the maybe heap size to uh, Java, and we can use load balancing for higher user traffic. So I mean based on the whatever the issues we have found, we can proceed with the fixing of it.
Okay, okay. Okay, what is concurrent hash map and how it works?
A concurrent hash map is a thread safe implementation of the map interface, and it allows concurrent access and modification by multiple threads without using the synchronized block. So we don't have to use that. And like unlike hash map, which is not thread safe, so this and hash table. So concurrent hash map achieves higher concurrency by dividing the map into segments or bins internally and locking only the specific segment or bucket being accessed or modified which is being written. So that allows multiple threads to read and write to the different parts of the map simultaneously without blocking each other. So it uses a combination of lock stripping and non-blocking algorithm to reduce the contention and improve scalability. So yeah, so it is very much useful in case of the threads whenever we are using.
Okay, so does it allow null?
No, no, concurrent hash map does not allow null keys or values. So yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. Can try be used without catch block?
yeah, we can use it. So with a finally block also if we have, so we can use it. Yeah.
We have a public static void main for the main method, right? So can you explain each keyword in that?
Yeah, so public means that is accessible from everywhere. So no matter it is in which package, so from outside of the package also or from different package also it can be accessed. So that is the meaning of public. Static means JVM can call it without creation of the object. Okay, because till this point there is no object has been created, so we want it to be the part of the class. And then void means there is no return type, so there is no return value. So that is the meaning of void. Main means the entry point of the program. So yeah, so that's what is the public static void main.
Okay, so what will happen suppose if main method is not a static?
Yeah, if main is not a static means I think JVM will throw runtime error.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so can we override the main method?
No, override we cannot do because it is static, right? So static methods we cannot override. So yeah, so it cannot be overridden.
So how about overloading? Can we do the overloading?
Yeah, by changing the parameter list, we can do the overloading. But JVM will always call the public static void main string array args. So that much that only. So JVM will always call that. But yeah, overloading we can do.
Okay, what are the wrapper classes? Do you know?
Yeah, wrapper classes are like integer, double in capital letter, right? So those are the wrapper classes. So the classes that wrap the primitive types into objects. So we have int, right? So instead of int, if we want to use integer, so the integer will be the wrapper class. So it is used in collection and to achieve the like auto back boxing and unboxing. So if those things we want to achieve, then we can use this wrapper classes.
Okay, so why do you think we use wrapper classes in collections, not primitive types?
Collections can only store the objects, so it cannot store the primitive data types. So in Java, collections like array list, hash map, and all that can only store objects. So they are not going to store the primitive data types like int, character, double, and all. So primitive types are not objects, and so it cannot be directly used with generic classes. So for to overcome that, so Java provides wrapper classes like as I said, like that capital integer and like double, all that. So that wraps the primitive values into objects. So these wrapper classes allow primitive to be stored in the collection.
Okay, so what are the advantages of Spring Boot?
Yeah, there are various advantages. So The first and main advantage is like lots of boilerplate codes has been removed, and we don't have to do the manually setup and configuration. So that is already been done predefined. So basically, Spring Boot auto configures our application based on the dependencies present in the class path. So lots of manual configuration are not needed, and ultimately it saves the time. And then it also has many starter dependencies like Spring Boot Starter Web, Spring Boot Starter JPA, right? So what happens is like whenever we are using this, then this basically has the all bundle of dependencies, and underlying dependencies are there. So they all are downloaded at one shot, and we don't have to manually go and download an every jar, or separately configure the different dependencies. So those things are not required, and we also have to not worry about the compatibility between the jars and whatever dependencies we are adding. Then it has embedded server. So it comes with embedded server like Tomcat, JT and all. So whatever we want, we can do that. And there is no need to deploy the war file to the external server. So we can just run the application like a standalone jar. So that is the another advantage. Then it has built-in support of the matrix health checks and all, right? So those things can be done, I mean include with the included libraries. So actuator and all is already available, so we don't have to worry about that. So ultimately, in the end, the user or the coder has only to focus on the writing the business logic, and not in the configuration of the project and all. So yeah, these are the main advantages of using Spring Boot.
Okay. Okay, can you explain the internal working of a Spring Boot?
Internal working. So Spring Boot basically is built on top of Spring framework only. It is just that the most of the configurations are automatically handled, so we don't have to do it manually. So initially in the main class, we have at the rate of Spring Boot application annotation. So underlying to that, we have three annotations, that is at the rate of configuration, at the rate of enable auto configuration, and at the rate of component scan. Okay, so this at the rate of configuration, that is the class level annotation, and that means the class can be used by IOC container as a source of bean definition. Okay, so that is the purpose of at the rate of configuration. And then enable auto configuration is like uh, it, it will auto configure the beans that are present in the class path. Okay, so this basically simplifies the developers work by guessing the required beans from the class path, and it configure it from the application, right? So that is enable auto configure. Then we have at the top component scan. So it basically scans the packages, okay, and all of its sub packages also, and it looks for the classes that could be automatically registered as a bean in the Spring container. So this is the underlying uh, annotations are there. And then whenever we have a Spring application dot run, so whenever we start running it, then behind the scene many things happen, like it sets up the Spring application context, and also it starts up the embedded server like Tomcat and whatever is has been embedded. And then it also performs the class path scanning and auto configuration, so that all this happens because of this at the rate of Spring Boot application annotation. Also, whatever the external configurations are there in application.properties or YAML file, so those are binded. Then also, if suppose actuator and all has been added, so and we have the Spring Boot starter actuator added to the dependency section, so Spring Boot will automatically expose the endpoints like actuator health and all. So yeah, so those things are done. So these are the things happens behind the scene when we run the Spring Boot application.
Okay. Okay, what is dependency injection in Spring Boot?
Yeah, dependency injection basically it is a design pattern, and that is used to achieve the IOC, inversion of control between the classes and their dependencies. So earlier, whenever the dependency injection we were not using, then the objects used to be the tightly coupled. But because of this dependency injection, it is loosely coupled. So basically, suppose we have any class and any other object of any other class we are trying to inject in that class. So we used to write, let's say we have a class car, right? And engine object if you want to inject, so we used to write like engine equal to new engine. So that is the kind of the tightly coupled code. But now in Spring Boot, like we can inject the dependencies using at the rate of auto wired. So that can be either through field constructor or setter injection. So now in this case, suppose we have to inject the engine to the car. So on top of engine, we can mark it as a add component, and in the car class, we can if it is a constructor injection, then we can just simply inject that at the rate of auto wire. We can give the annotation and we can inject it in the car class. Similar to these injections, we can also do using the field injection and setter injection. So yeah, so basically the dependency injection makes the Spring Boot is as loosely coupled, and it is easier to testing and cleaner code. So for these purposes, we use dependency injection in Spring Boot.
Okay. So in microservices, so what do you think the benefits are of microservices architecture?
Yeah, there are several benefits of microservice architecture. So the first main thing is that um, scalability. So like each microservices can be scaled independently. Also suppose if any application is there which is made up of multiple microservices, so if any one of the microservices is down, or for some reason it is not I mean taking time or something, so there are various ways we can overcome to this. And if it is I mean not working, in that case we can just write the fallback methods, and we can share the alternate methods, and we can I like respond what need to be done instead of that. So still the whole out of whole application, some part of it will be may not be working, but mostly it will be working. So that's the main advantage. And then also if we have microservices, then different services can use different languages or different frameworks also we can use. So that is another advantage. And then also like it can be divided to different team members, and they can work independently on each microservice. So which basically makes it more like rapid development of the microservices. And uh, like the deployment also can be done independently, and it can be managed also in the better way. So since there are smaller code chunks will be there each microservices, so normally we don't write the lots of uh, I mean big size of codes to microservices. So the maintainability also will be the better. So these are the basically the main advantages of the microservices.
Okay. So these are the advantages. Now, what are the challenges you think which are there for the microservices?
Challenges suppose if we have a smaller application, right? So we should not split that to the microservices, because unnecessarily we are splitting the monolithic into multiple services, and it is again difficult to maintain all the services. Also more microservices means like there are more parts and it is more complex to manage. And also data management size, like ensuring the consistency across the all the services is also it's kind of difficult. So all those things can be managed, but yeah, it is bit difficult. And also like managing multiple deployments can be challenging sometimes. So we need to do the proper DevOps automation to deploy like each microservice properly and have the appropriate number of instances of each microservices running. And then for inter-service communication also, like we need to manage the fault tolerance, network latency and all. Okay, and also for monitoring and logging also, it is not that much of easy. We need to have some centralized system for the logging and monitoring, right? And also for testing also, like it requires more effort and more integration things will be there. So yeah, these will be the more like more or less that the challenges of the microservices.
Okay, okay. Okay, so in short, can you tell me what are the different ways microservices communicate with each other?
Yeah, mostly it communicate as a synchronous communication or asynchronous communication. So in synchronous, we have RESTful APIs or gRCP over HTTP. So that is there, and then in asynchronous we have messaging system like Kafka, RabbitMQ, and all. So these are the mostly the ways how we communicate in microservices.
Okay, so tell me what is API gateway? What do you know about API gateway?
Yeah, API gateway is a server, we can say, that acts as an entry point to the system, and whatever request coming from the clients, so they all are routed to the appropriate microservices using this API gateway. So here in API gateway, apart from that, multiple other things also happen, like authentication and authorization, rate limiting, aggregation, and protocol translations. Like sometimes we need to convert between protocols like HTTP, WebSocket, gRCP, and all. So all those things happens here. So yeah, so these are the uses of the API gateway.
Okay, so how do you monitor microservices?
Yeah, monitoring a microservices can be done using like we can do a matrix monitoring using the tools like Prometheus and Grafana and all. So to track the CPU, memory and all, so we can use this. And then for logging, we can use a centralized logging system like ELK stack. So Elasticsearch, Log Stack, and Kibana. So that we can use. And again for tracing, we can use distributed tracing tools like Jipkin. For health checks and all, we can do actuator. And yeah, so these are the ways we can monitor.
Okay, okay, fine. Okay, so in SQL, what is the difference between where and having clause?
Yeah, so where is used to filter rows before any grouping is done. So before group by and all, we use where. And having is used to filter groups after the grouping has been performed. So that is a difference.
Okay, can you give me any example for this?
Yeah, so let's say uh, we have to write the query to find the let's say the count of uh, employees where the, let's say, status is active, and we have to group by department, and the count is greater than 5. Okay, so for that first of all we can write select department or count of a star from employees, right? And then we can use here where status equal to active. Okay, and then again we can write group by. So whatever the department group by we want to do, we can say group by department. And then we need the count must be equal greater than 5. So having count of star greater than 5. So like where here will filter only active employees, so that is the use of where. And then group by forms the department wise groups, and find and this, sorry, this having filters the group with more than the 5 employees. So this is how we use this. Yeah.
Okay, can you tell me the difference between delete, truncate, and drop?
So delete can be done when we need a selective deletion, and we also want in case of rollback is required. And truncate is like we can use to remove all rows without uh, the possibility of any rollback and all. So then we use truncate, and drop is used to remove the entire table structure and data. So completely if we want to remove, then we will use drop. So this is the difference.
Okay, okay, fine. Okay, can you explain what is view?
Yeah, view is, we can say, is a virtual table. So that is based on the result of a SQL query, and actually it does not store the data physically. So whenever we have the requirement like um, uh, some query, we need to always execute, and the resultant whatever the data is there that we want to get. So instead of doing querying every time from the tables, applying the joins to the tables and doing that, we can use view for that. So that can simplify the let's say the permission and all issue is also there. So those things also can be simplified using this. Okay. So yeah, this is what is the view.